So good morning dear students of class 10. Today we will do the last part of the short story The Blue Bead by Norah Burke. So please get ready with your textbooks and we will continue from where we had left off in our third video. So this is going to be the last and the final video where we will be finishing with the text. So please get ready with your textbook. We will begin now. So good morning once again dear students of class 10. We continue from where we had left off in that short story which we were doing, that is The Blue Bead by Norah Burke. And in the last video we have seen that the crocodile has lunged at this Gujar woman, and then let us see what happens after the crocodile attacks her. Up out of the darkling water heaved the great reptile, water slushing off him, his livid jaws yawning and all his teeth flashing as he slashed at her leg. Now it is the normal instinct of the crocodile to attack the victim by its leg or its legs. Now in this case, this Gujar woman, she was trying to fill her two brass pots or ghadas with water when suddenly the crocodile came out of the water and attacked her. So the nearest part of her body that the crocodile could easily attack was her limbs, her lower limbs, that is her legs. So that is what the crocodile did. Suddenly it rose out of the water and attacked this Gujar woman. The woman screamed, dropped both brass pots with a clatter on the boulder, from whence they bounced to the water, and Sibia saw them bob away in the current. Now, she had not been able to fill the vessels with water. Naturally, they were empty. She was only just attempting to fill one of those two ghadas when suddenly the crocodile attacked. So naturally, she screamed in fear and let go of the brass pots. And these brass pots or ghadas fell into the river water, and as I told you that the river had a current, the water was in a flowing state, and naturally these ghadas, empty ghadas, they started floating away in the water. So it was floating, the ghadas were floating away, and this is what Sibia thought. What is given in italics on your screen is what Sibia's thought was, or the thought that crossed Sibia's mind when she saw the ghadas floating away. Oh, the two good vessels gone. Now, what does this show to us? What does this indicate? It indicates the fact that that Sibia was more concerned with the things, the materialistic things, than the crocodile attack. Now, why would that be? Simple reason was that she was from a poor socio-economic class herself, and naturally, therefore, she did not have the privilege of owning, or her family did not have the privilege of owning such brass ghadas which the Gujar woman owned. And so when she saw them floating away, she thought, she felt that it was a complete waste that such precious things should be lost in this way just because a crocodile has attacked this woman. So you see, the focus is on what is supposed to be materialistic rather than the importance of human life. So this is where the thought pattern of such people comes in, where natural things which are happening are not important, but what is materialistic becomes more important. The Gujar woman recoiled from the crocodile, but the jaws closed on her leg at the same moment as she slipped and fell on the bone-breaking stone. Why is the stone said to be bone-breaking? Because when you fall on such hard surface, you are likely to break a bone or two. And that's the thing that happened. Because the crocodile caught hold of her leg, she fell down on the stone. And then she clutched one of the timber logs to save herself. Now that is what happens when you are in danger. Whatever is within your reach, you try to grab at it and you try to save yourself. In this case, there were some logs floating in the water or the timber, and she tried to hold on one of these logs and tried to save herself, though it was a vain effort because the crocodile was much stronger than her and would soon be either cutting off her leg completely, severing it from her body, or else dragging her down deep into the river water and feeding on her, killing her. So this was about to happen. So all this is happening actually within a fraction of a second, and Sibia, who is on the halfway through on the other side of the river, she is also on one of the stepping stones, and she's watching this happening before her eyes. Now let's see what Sibia does. The log jammed between two boulders. Now she was holding on to the logs, or one of the logs, this Gujar woman, and the log was jammed between two boulders, so it was not moving, with the woman clinging to it and screaming while the crocodile pulled on her leg, threshing his mighty tail, bang bang, to and fro in great smacking flails as he tried to drag her free and carry her off down into the deeps of the pool. Blood spread everywhere. Now obviously you must have seen the jaws of a crocodile. They have very big and sharp teeth, and when the crocodile is resting and when its mouth is closed, it seems to have a sinister grin on its face or on its mouth, and that's because of the fact that its entire mouth is full of teeth, and these teeth actually project out of its mouth on either side of its mouth. So they have very sharp teeth, and naturally the water was turning red because the sharp teeth of the crocodile were biting into this Gujar woman's leg, and she was bleeding, and the crocodile was pulling at her and trying to drag her to the bottom of the river, and this tug of war was in progress. Sibia sprang, and as I told you, this was happening within a fraction of a second. The ghadas floating away, Sibia thinking like that, two brass ghadas wasted, and the very next moment she realizes that she must do something to save this woman's life. Now Sibia, don't be confused, because Sibia is only 12 years old. That doesn't mean that she doesn't know the ways of the jungle, and she has been born and brought up in this jungle because she has been a jungle girl all her life, and she knows exactly how to tackle such situations when wild animals attack human beings. So Sibia sprang from boulder to boulder. She came leaping like a rock goat. So just as in the rocky mountainous regions we get to see a particular kind of or a variety of goats that live, and they jump from rock to rock, they have exceptional balance and they don't fall off the cliff or the slopes of the mountain. The same way Sibia has a sure footing on these rocks, and she does not slip, and she springs and leaps and jumps from one rock to another and approaches this woman in distress who was holding on to the timber, and the crocodile was pulling at her leg. Sometimes it had seemed difficult to cross these stones, especially the big gap in the middle where the river coursed through like a bulge of glass. But now she came on wings. Now she came on wings. What does this expression mean? It means that she seemed to have grown wings. She was almost flying. As she was jumping from rock to rock, she was running also at the same time. And because she was jumping, it seemed that she had grown wings and she was flying. So there was a particular gap between two stones right in the middle of the river, which sometimes was a bit difficult to cross, especially for a small girl like her. But today the situation was different. The urgency of the situation or the emergency situation caused her to even clear that large gap within no time, as she leaped from the previous stone to the next stone, choosing her footing in midair without even thinking about it, and in one moment she was beside the shrieking woman. Shrieking means screaming. In the boiling bloody water, The face of the crocodile, fastened round her leg, was tugging to and fro and smiling. As I told you, that the crocodile's face seems to have a sinister smile or a grin. It's not a smile or a grin, it's just that the shape of the muzzle of a crocodile is such that it seems to be smiling at all times. His eyes rolled on to Sibia. Now, as Sibia approached, the crocodile eyed Sibia. One slap of the tail could kill her. You see, the crocodile is so huge. I had posted the pictures of gharials and crocodiles earlier in our WhatsApp group for all of you to see. So you must have saved those pictures. So you must be knowing that a crocodile is immense. It's huge. It's more than twice the size of a human being, a full-grown man, and it has strong and powerful tail. And so, if the crocodile is busy in biting someone, it doesn't mean that it cannot hit another human being with its tail. It swishes its tail to and fro. One hit of that tail could actually kill Sibia or cause her to become unconscious and fall in the water. So it was like that. He struck. Up shot the water 20 feet and fell like a silver chain. Again, the rock jumped under the blow. Actually, the crocodile was trying to hit Sibia, but Sibia was on the rock and the tail was hitting the rock down below, and the rock was vibrating. And Sibia could feel the vibration almost like an earthquake. The rock jumped under the blow, but in the daily heroism of the jungle, as common as thorn tree, Sibia did not hesitate. What did she do? She aimed at the reptile's eyes. With all the force of her little body, she drove the hay fork at the eyes, and one prong went in. You see the hay fork, I had posted the picture of the hay fork also. It has 3 or 4 prongs with which you can actually toss the hay or even dig the ground. And with this in her hand, she tried to hit the crocodile. Now, she's a girl, as I told you, she's a girl who has been described as a jungly, as well as one who has good knowledge about wild animals because she has grown up in the jungle. She knows exactly where to hit the crocodile, and she hits the crocodile with the pronged fork in the eye, and one of the prongs goes directly into one of the eyes of the crocodile. Now, as said in the beginning or earlier in the story, when the crocodile was basking outside in the sun, we were told by the author that there are 2 vulnerable places in the crocodile's body which can actually be used for killing a crocodile. 1, its eyes, and 2, its underarms. So that is what Sibia did. She had this knowledge and she knew exactly what to do. So one of the prongs went directly into its eye, right in, while its spear scratched past on the horny cheek. The crocodile reared up in convulsion, in terrible pain. The crocodile was blinded in one eye. One of its eyes was totally gone. It was blinded because the prong of the hay fork pierced it. So it went blind in the eye, and the tremendous pain that it caused this crocodile to rear up or rise up till half its lizard body was out of the river. The crocodile looks like a giant lizard, so that's why it's called lizard body. So half of the body came out of the river, the tail and nose nearly meeting over his stony back. Then he crashed back, exploding the water, and in an uproar of bloody foam, he disappeared. Now what has happened? The crocodile has let go of the Gujar woman. Her leg, it has let go. In tremendous pain, the crocodile jumped out of the water and then fell crashing back into the water. And the next moment, there was a bloody foam of water formed in the area where the crocodile went into the water, and then it disappeared. Now what will happen to the crocodile? Not only its eye, but the prong is quite long. So if it has punctured the eye, it must have gone inside its brain. So it won't be long before the crocodile actually dies. This crocodile is doomed. It is destined to die, but it will not die immediately because it's a strong and big creature. It will take some time to die. It will bleed and bleed and bleed till it finally dies. So, but then the body of the crocodile will someday be found floating up in the water in some other part of the river. So this is what has happened. Now anyway, he would die, not yet but presently, but eventually. So this crocodile is surely going to die, though not immediately, but sooner or later. Though his death would not be known for days, not till his stomach, blown with gas, floated him. Then perhaps he would be found upside down among the logs at the timber boom with pus in his eye. So this would be the dead body of the crocodile, or the carcass. We don't call dead body in case of animals. We refer to it as a dead animal is referred to as a carcass. So the carcass of the crocodile, or the dead remains of the crocodile with pus in one of its eyes, because that eye is the one which Sibia has punctured with her hay fork. So it will be found once it dies, and then the body bloats up, and then it starts floating in the water. Any organic substance, when it is alive, it can swim or it can go deep inside the water. But once it dies, the body decomposes and develops gas inside, and then it floats up. And that is how this crocodile will be found someday, jammed up somewhere with the logs in the middle of the river among the stones. So Sibia got her arms round the fainting woman and somehow dragged her from the water. She stopped her wounds with sand and bound them with rag and helped her home to the Gujar encampment, where the men made a litter to carry her to someone for treatment. So see how good a girl Sibia is. Though she is just 12 years old, she is so brave. She has killed the crocodile. She has saved this Gujar woman's life. And not only that, she picks her up, helps her to reach her encampment, the temporary huts where the Gujars live. And then the Gujar men immediately come and they make a kind of stretcher out of maybe bamboo and weeds and things like that, natural forest products, and they carry her somewhere for treatment. So maybe some doctor, some kind of village doctor, they have some kind of physician, so they carry her off to arrange for her treatment. So this is what Sibia does. Now she has finished her responsibility of saving this woman's life and taking her home. Then Sibia went back for her grass and sickle and fork. Now she had left behind her grass bundle. The paper grass which she had cut with her mother and other women was left behind on one of the rocks back there in the river. And now there was no risk because the main crocodile, the most dangerous one, was already killed. She went back for her sickle. She went back for her fork too. The fork was lying in the river, not carried away, luckily. So actually she did not bother about the fork after hitting the crocodile with it, and she had been busy in attending the injured Gujar woman. So now she goes back to the river looking for the things, the tools, and luckily she saw that her fork had not floated away in the river. It was still lying somewhere in the water. And she went to pick it up out of the water. She saw the blue bead, and when just as she was about to pick up the fork, just next to the fork inside the water lay this blue bead. Not blue now, with the sun nearly gone, but a no color white blue. So now, because the sun was almost gone, the dying rays of the sun, the last few remaining rays of the sun of daylight, showed this blue bead to her, no doubt, but it did not look very blue. It was whitish blue, and its shape wobbling in the movement of the stream. She reached her arm down into a yard of the cold silk water to get it. So now she puts her hand inside the water, and just below the water surface, because the water is very clear water, she can see this blue bead. So from a distance, if you look at the water, it looks dark because the sun has set. But when you go close to it, you can still see, because the water is actually very clear in rivers which flow near the hills. So out here also you have the same experience. When you go for your picnic and all that, you generally see that the river water is very clear, crystal clear. That does not happen when the river reaches its matured stage or its old stage. Young stage of the river, the water is always full of current, and it's shallower and it's clearer right when it comes down from the mountain. So here also same thing happens. The fork is still lying inside the water, and beside it this blue bead. She reaches out into the water and gets it, missing it first of all because of refraction. Now you must have all done that experiment in physics, the refraction of light. When you take a bucket or a beaker and fill it half with water and then drop a coin, and then you look at the coin from the top, the coin seems to be raised. If you draw the raise, it seems to be raised because of the fact of refraction. So the same thing happens here. When she reaches out to pick up the coin, or rather the bead, she is not able to pick it up because she is reaching out at the wrong place, because the light rays from the denser medium to the rarer medium moves away from the normal. You have done in physics, and that's the reason why initially she missed it. That was because of refraction. Then there it lay in her wet palm. After the second attempt, she managed to get it, and now she holds it in her palm, in the palm of her hand. She is looking at it, observing it. Perfect, even pierced, ready for use. Already this blue bead has been described earlier in the story. You already know it could be a bottleneck. It must have been put under friction in the moving water of the river, because of which it has become rounded, but it has a hole through it, so it can very well be used to make a necklace. Especially for a poor girl like Sibia, it's like a treasure, something which she can never afford to buy. If she goes to the market and if she sees the beads being sold there, she does not have the money to buy such beads. But now this one is as if a reward for saving someone's life, as if God given, or as if, well, let's see who has given this blue bead. What does she think about it? We'll see very soon. So it's ready for use, with the sunset shuffled about inside it like gold dust. All her heart went up in flames of joy. She was so happy. After a bit, she twisted it into the top of her skirt, against her tummy, so she would know if it burst through the poor cloth and fell. So where does she put it? Near her waist. She tucks it up at the place where the skirt meets her body, and she keeps it there. And because she does not have a pocket, so she carries it that way. And because she has to carry the grass, she has to carry the hay fork, she has to carry the sickle, so she cannot possibly carry the blue bead also with those things. So she tucks it in her skirt, and then she goes her way. Then she picked up her fork and sickle and the heavy grass and set off home. Aye, what a day! So this is what she was probably thinking. Her bare feet smudged out the wriggle mark of snakes in the dust. There was the thin singing of malaria mosquitoes among the trees now. And this track was much used at night by a morose old Makna elephant. Makna elephant is a male elephant. Okay, so one which has been ousted or has been thrown out of its herd. And generally a single elephant, an old male elephant which is single, which is not with its herd, is a very dangerous animal, because it has been defeated in the battle of leadership by a comparatively stronger and younger male, and it has been thrown out of its herd. And that's how this old Makna elephant sometimes came near this river. And the tracks of this elephant could also be seen on the sand. The tuskless one. This elephant did not have tusks. The one without tusks. But Sibia was not thinking of any of them. The stars came out. She did not notice. On the way back, she met her mother, out of breath, came to look for her and scolding. Now, as she approaches her village inside the forest, she meets her mother halfway through, because her mother was looking for her already, because it had grown dark and she was not yet home. Though she was supposed to have come back with the rest of the women, she was not there. After they reached home, after they reached the village, they looked for her but could not find her, and that is why the mother had come out looking for her. And when she saw her, she started scolding Sibia. I did not see. I did not see till I was home that you were not there. I thought something must have happened to you. And Sibia, bursting with her story, cried, Something did! I found a blue bead for my necklace. Look! Once again, you must be surprised by what Sibia says. Something did happen, and we were almost thinking that she was about to say that she had saved the life of the Gujar woman who was being attacked by a crocodile. That was not what was important in her life. Finding the blue bead was, and that's what she talks about when she meets her mother. So now here on your screen, you have some activities. These can be done in groups actually, but we cannot have a group activity as of now. But just let's go through and see what they are suggesting. Think about your own values in relation to Sibia's. Develop a chart to compare the two using the following categories, etc. etc. Then the story, second one. The story begins with a detailed description of the crocodile before shifting to Sibia's perspective. In small groups, discuss why the author chose to begin her story this way. In your discussion, consider other ways that the story could be structured. Share your ideas with the rest of the class. So that is also not possible because we don't have regular classes going on now. Then working in pairs, even this is not possible. Just for the purpose of understanding the story better, they have suggested these activities, but this is not part of your workbook questions. So naturally you don't really need to do them. We have actually finished with the short story, and I hope you have been able to understand as I have explained the story line by line to you. So with that, we come to the end of today's class. If you have any doubt, any confusion with regard to what we have read so far, you can always go through once again the different videos which I have posted of the blue bead, and you can always clarify your doubts in case if you have any doubt. And you can also replay this video to understand if anything is not understood by you. You can once again play it from the beginning and listen to my explanation. I am sure you will be able to understand this short story. Now what